Hi. A friend of mine posted on Facebook that she's working with a publisher, and the editor, has asked her to cut content. A fair amount of it, as it turns out. And that happens fairly frequently in publishing, where we have a page count that we're working with within the budget. And sometimes the authors provide so much more content that we can't fit it in that page allotment. Sometimes that's okay, and we'll go ahead anyway. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to get them to add content. It's very tricky manipulation. People think, oh, you just sort of, you write the book and then the pages expand to fill whatever it is you've written. And that's not the case. We have certain parameters that we have to work in for each product, and they vary. So I wanted to give you some tips for having to either cut or add content. Adding first. Adding is very difficult. More difficult than you think. Because when you finished a piece of writing, a chapter, let's say, and you think it's done, you've already sort of put away information and did your own cutting as you were writing. To add that in, now you're building a lot more new bridges between paragraphs and between sections. You're trying to squeeze information in, and it's very difficult. So one of the things to look for if you have to add content, look for terms or phrases that could stand some clarification. That's number one. They might be fairly simple terms, or in healthcare's case, they're medical terms, or a phrase that you didn't expand on because you think everybody knows it. Well, now's your chance to expand on it. Look for concepts that you developed a little bit, but that could stand to be developed more. Look for places where you can add a sidebar if the book is appropriate for that. A boxed element that explains something else about the content, that provides supportive material. It's the little history business, perhaps. It's the development of a vaccine, or whatever the case may be. Look for those instances. If you're doing a textbook, add more questions. Add more activities. Look at every single thing you can, every aspect of it, and find places to add. And then go ahead and add them in, and then you have to sort of finesse the content. Adding is difficult. Cutting, much easier, although you don't think so. But it is much easier, as long as you don't marry yourself to the content. You have to understand that the words you put on paper, I don't care how good you are, always need an editor. Always. So if you understand that, your words are not final, the be-all, end-all of the textbook realm, of a healthcare reference book or whatever, you'll get along much better. So that's number one. Recognize that the words you've placed are not the Bible. They can be modified. Now, take off that author hat to cut. Put on your scientist hat. The scientist is always looking at risks and benefits. Is always looking at what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages of doing it this way, doing it this way. That's what you need to do. So look at the chapters, or look at whatever your content is with a scientist hat, and look at what is absolutely essential to get the point of view of that chapter over to the reader. If it's not absolutely essential, it's a place you can cut. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will cut it, but you can. It's a matter of what's essential to get across to the reader and what is nice to get across to the reader and helpful to get across to the reader. Two different concepts, but you've got to identify those. And just to say, well, everything is essential. No, it's not. No, it's not. The only one who really pared down his writing that I know of to the absolute essence that anyone would be hard-pressed to edit down would be E.B. White in The Elements of Style. That is about as concise a book as you'll ever read, ever, in your life. The rest of us, we've all got places we can cut. So really look for those. Now, minor cuts, phrases, phrases, sentences, paragraphs here and there, will get you to about a 10% cut. If you need more than that, if you need 15, 20, 25, 30% cut, holy Moses, now you're looking at big sections. You've got to cut big. You've got to cut chapters. You've got to cut entire sections of chapters, because paragraphs and sentences are not going to do you there. Okay? So really, those are the keys, I think, to adding and cutting content. It's not as difficult as you think once you sort of forget the author and start focusing in on the words as manipulatable, as something manipulatable. That was out there. Words are my life. All right, listen, that's enough for now. Have a good one.